Boehner apparently does not think very much of President Obama's attempt to raise the minimum wage for federal contract workers in a sort of rebuttal to the State of the Union speech, so to speak. The House Speaker indicated that he believes the plan to raise the wage to just over $10 on new government contracts is more show than substance.
Let's understand something. This affects not one current contract. It only affects future contracts with the federal government. And so I think the question is, how many people, Mr. President, will this executive action actually help? I suspect the answer is somewhere close to zero.
Democratic Congressman Jim Clyburn from my home state, South Carolina. Congressman, always good to see you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start with where the Speaker just left off there. Does he have a point? Is the President's plan perhaps too narrow in focus?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Melvin. First of all, I don't quite understand how the Speaker could come to that conclusion. The fact of the matter is, whenever this is done, whatever contracts, and tomorrow happens to be a future contract, then people will be covered. I would hope, however, as I've expressed to the administration, that we would have a definition of contracts that would be broad enough to get beyond narrow contracts that may exist up here in Washington or at the federal levels dealing on with the private sector. States contract with the federal government.
Yeah.
The Employment Security Commission is 100% federally funded, though it is state directed. So I would hope that the President will define a government contractor in such a way that a lot of people far beyond a little contract that we may think about will be covered. It certainly ought to be.
Congressman, you could be voting on a farm bill compromise, I understand, as early as tomorrow. The bill reportedly contains about $8 billion in cuts over 10 years to the food stamp program, a lot less than what House Republicans, many of them, originally wanted. Is this a compromise you can live with?
Yes, it is. I worked very hard on this. Marcia Fudge, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, along with Bennett Thompson, the three of us met regularly with Debbie Stabenow over in the Senate, trying to get that number to a way that we thought was manageable. The $8.6 billion is in fact manageable and will not get into what we call the benefits of the program. It will have a negative impact on LIHEAP in some states, but we think this is as good of an effort that we could get under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances. Congressman, the President's poll numbers, I'm sure you know, low right now.
Yes.
You and your 434 colleagues in the House up for re-election this year. The President's going to outline an agenda this evening there at the Capitol. Those poll numbers, how much more difficult does it make things for you? How much more difficult does it make for the President's agenda?
Well, I think the poll numbers are what they are, and I think that most of us agree that the American people are very anxious right now. There's a lot of anxiety. I just left home on yesterday. I've talked to enough people over the weekend to know that people are very, very anxious. I think that the President's speech, however, could go a long ways toward calming people a little bit, and I do believe that his efforts to create opportunity, take action, and really remain optimistic about the future, that's the way to go. Yeah. We should not be pessimistic about this at all. Most people know that we're in pretty trying circumstances, and I think the President will get us to where we ought to be.
Congressman, really quickly before I let you go, what is the one thing that you would like to hear from President Obama tonight, but you are probably certain that you won't hear?
Well, I'm not certain what the President is going to say.
Oh, you've got a good idea.
Oh, yeah, I got a good idea what I would like to hear him say. As you know, Melvin, I have been a proponent of the President using his 14th Amendment powers for a long, long time. I'm a proponent of him doing that in regards to the debt limit. If a President of the United States can integrate the armed services, can free slaves using the executive order. I think this president ought to explore ways to make some real big policy differences by using the powers that he has with the executive order. That's what I want to see more than anything else.
Assistant Democratic Leader, South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn. Always good to see you, Congressman. Thank you.